How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do another contract on Black River on my new playthrough called Not a Drill. You can see like the yellow square kind of nearest to the middle of the map. That's where you got to take stuff, and then I've got to get 2 lots of metal beams. I've got to go and get like a drilling rig from Smithville Dam, and then I've got to take, it's like a big special objective trailer. It was at that same factory that I dropped the fuel trailer off yesterday with a Voron D. And yeah, I'm going to do the first bit, or the first 2 bits I suppose, with a Tayga. And then the last bit is I'm going to take the Kolob, like the long-nosed Kolob. Looks like a big blue whale, that one. Yeah, I'm going to take this step-down trailer thing. I actually quite like this trailer recently. It sits quite low, so if you're going over pretty like bumpy terrain, so to speak, it can catch, but then it kind of feels like it just slides along pretty nicely. That's definitely what she said. Whereas stuff like the ramped flatbed, and even to a degree really the sideboard and all that, like the semi-trailers, they've got like rails along the side and all sorts. They just dig in a lot, whereas this thing, even though it does sit quite low, yeah, it kind of behaves more like a sled, a bit like those porta cabins that are on Lake Covd or Amandra. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been one of my more favourite trailers recently. I've used it quite a bit on this playthrough and quite a few things on my first playthrough. And yeah, I'm liking it. I also like the fact that it's a 5-slot trailer, but all those 5 slots go like on that lower down bit of the deck. So you have actually got like an extra room at the front. If you had a crane, if you took a truck with a crane and everything as well, you could easily put 6 pieces of cargo on this without even having to stack them on top of each other. Or yeah, as I've used it before, took a goddamn professional with me, stuck a little loaf on like that back bit that sits a bit higher. So yeah, it's just quite like a lot of uses for it. There's a few missions where you've got to take 6 lots of cargo, and as and when I get that far on this playthrough, I'll most likely take this trailer and again a crane and everything, and yeah, see how well it goes in one run. So first part of the mission was grab 2 metal beams. Not letting that lamppost stop me. Again, I kind of almost treat everything like it's Grand Theft Auto 5, and then I suddenly realised at the last minute, like, oh shit, that ain't gonna break. So, my route to go to the drilling site on this game, I could have gone, basically, carried on further out the town, kind of loop round the top, nearest to the trailer store and so on, and then yeah, you follow like a dirt road back down to the delivery site, the drilling site, whereas I used this the other day, I can't remember which mission it was on, but I cut across here in the twin stair, and it's just a hell of a lot quicker, and it's, to be honest, I actually quite like it, because you get to cut across a river, and it's sort of a little bit of a challenge, but this thing, to be fair, the Tayga did pretty well at it. So yeah, you can see with this trailer now, I mean, because it does sit low, it's basically digging in, but yeah, it's just not some crazy mission. Like, I've floored it, steered to the side a bit, caught some grip, and yeah, generally speaking, like I said, it acts more like a sled the whole way across, so getting the actual front lip of the trailer, like the underneath part, isn't that hard to get over the first initial bump, because it sits pretty close to the back of your truck anyway. And yeah, like I say, this is my new little favourite spot to cut across. It's saved me a hell of a lot of time already. I assume there's a few more missions I've got to do. But it's actually letting me on Smithville Dam now, which is pretty cool, so I can start, yeah, checking those ones out. I also want to get back on Northport and get a few of them done. Then I can go to Mountain, whatever it's called, the next map, and go and get the gearbox. Still missing the old high range. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's still a pretty stock Tayga. I believe the tyres are like all-terrain instead of highways, but other than that, it's got the stock engine, obviously the balanced gearbox. I don't know, that's like the main things for the sort of powertrain and how it drives along. And yeah, I mean, it cut across that river pretty damn fine, even with this trailer with 2 lots of metal beams, which I don't know if the metal beams are the heaviest cargo in the game, but they're certainly, I wouldn't say the lightest either. Step 1, I quite, again, like these little animations. I wish it'd keep them going a little bit longer. You barely see the thing before it's over. But yeah, that's step 1 out of the way. So now, the next thing it wants me to do is go and grab, like, is it the oil rig drill or whatever? So I've got to go over to Smithville. And this would be my first time going there, but I already know where to go anyway, and it's pretty easy from when you actually enter Smithville Dam. You've only got to go up the road towards the garage, and then you just take a right, just pretty much as you're outside the garage. And yeah, it's just one of the warehouses in the top corner. And this thing is pretty easy enough to turn around. I certainly prefer reversing semi-trailers a hell of a lot more than those things with whatever they're called that got those stupid axles on them. I've seen them on YouTube. I've seen some guy towing 2 of those trailers, and he flings them around this little yard. Like, you can tell he's been doing that thing. He's doing just that same route or whatever for bloody ages. But yeah, he's a beast at it. It's certainly, I don't feel like you can get the opportunity in this game. It's like the trailer sort of tries to turn with those, yeah, wiggly front axles, like quicker than your truck can turn, and I just get into a right mess with them. So again, though, the Tayga, it's yeah, pretty nice cutting through here. I put a snorkel on it. It's not the tallest one. I can't get that yet. I've not got it unlocked, but I reckon, I don't know, it'd probably be close with the other one. I'd rather put it on. I've got the money at the minute after doing that glitch. As for the paint job, while I remember, I just put it on again, the Tayga for the Tayga. Now, I don't know, if I don't dislike it. I wouldn't say I'm overly keen on it. It's a little bit, I don't even know what the word is, but it reminds me, I don't know, of a dressing gown someone like Ron Burgundy would wear, with a big lion on it. Yeah, motor's up there pretty nice. So, I mean, even with the stock engine, the Tayga is pretty solid. I've noticed that, though, really, doing these missions the last couple of days or whatever, that there is a nice selection of stock trucks that you don't necessarily need all the upgrades that quick. I mean, I thought I'd need them more than I would. I was pretty keen on, like, unlocking the next lot of maps and, yeah, getting all the upgrades. And I've kind of slacked off on bothering, really. I'll just kind of get them as and when I get the missions. The main thing for me that I want, really, at the minute is XP. I mean, it's definitely starting this thing. I will just say quickly as well, obviously the Tayga, you don't get stock, you have to go on Drowned Lands and get it, but it's a piece of piss. It's pretty near to where you get the garage. I hadn't even really done anything on Black River or Northport. I just went to Drowned Lands on this playthrough, went there with a pretty stock truck. You just have to fix the Tayga up and it's yours anyway. I don't even believe you have to tow it back to the garage, so yeah, it's pretty damn easy. It's as good as in the bag as long as you actually take 10 minutes to go and grab it. Yeah, like I said, I could do with XP mod. One thing I've sort of noticed with this game, well, one of the reasons I wanted to restart my playthrough was because, just as a hypothetical example, this contract, I wanted to use some of the different trucks that I didn't own at the time when I did it, but to a degree on this game, it doesn't pay a lot of XP out at all at the start, and yeah, I'm kind of noticing I'm going to have to complete a fair chunk of particularly the contracts to unlock the next maps. To earn the XP to unlock the trucks, and again, it's kind of going to go full circle. It's a bit like with the Antarctic and the Derry 4520 in this game particularly. I think they're like level 24 and level 26 to unlock. By the time you get them, you know, there is a few missions left, etc., but there's quite a lot of situations where it would have been nice. I mean, this mission, for example, if I had access to the Derry 4520, I probably would have given that a go, especially that there is a fair amount of roads and stuff, and yeah, it gives it a chance, because that thing is a bit gutless. But I still, to be fair, I didn't have the Tayga with my first playthrough. I didn't go to Drowned Lands for a good old while, so yeah, you're probably talking a good couple of weeks, maybe more, before I got that. So yeah, we'll grab the drilling rig. I quite like this this cargo. I think it looks pretty cool. That's that heavy burden contract. It's pretty easy, to be honest. I think it takes about a minute or so to fly, if you got the right truck and everything, get the twin steer. Go cutting through the fields of it. Yeah, it'd take about a minute and 10 seconds to get down to the farm. So you can see the map here. I've not done anything. And yeah, you've seen the way I drove up here. I just couldn't resist. Just as I was driving past these trees, looking out to the left, I thought, did I just see a bit of road down there? And yeah. The rest, as you can see, it all happened naturally. I do not take responsibility. That tree deserved it. I was talking shit to my loaf, and we can't have that. Goddamn professional. Sent in the Tayga. Yeah, I mean, yeah, all things considered, I think my little shortcut went pretty well. I was pretty happy with myself now. I was originally going to cut down about level where I am now, so I'm kind of glad I rolled a bit further forward and went the way I did, because, yeah, it went pretty well. But as you can see, though, I mean, it's only a quick trip into Smithville, nothing crazy. You don't really assuming I didn't do that shortcut, it's basically road, so you don't need a Tayga. You could do it with, I assume, like a stock, what's it called, Fleet Star. I've not even got my Fleet Star yet. It's still sat outside the garage. I might just leave it there. So anyway, when I came back here, I could just go drive back down the same road, cut through town, cut across the river as I did with the metal beams. But yeah, for kind of, one, for just making the journey a bit different. Also, at the minute, it's kind of in the shade, so to speak. It's not fully uncovered yet. So yeah, I just thought I'd drive down that road. All in all, I think it took about the same time. There wasn't really a lot in it. But yeah, again, I mean, the Tayga's doing a pretty solid job. This trailer's not letting me down. So it's all going pretty well. There's a trailer store to the left there if I went that way. That's kind of, yeah, where I am really, from the Smithville entrance. You can see, times like now is when I'd really missing that high gear. But to its credit, the balanced gearbox in the auto isn't that bad because it's got 5 gears, say, rather than 8. There's less chance for it trying to jump back down the gears. Like a lot of trucks, by the time you're up in 8th, yeah, you can only hit like a little tiny patch of mud and the gearbox freaks out and jumps back down to 1st, etc. It happens slightly less with this. I think it still works better in, like, this Tayga's pretty powerful even in a stock condition. But yeah, I mean, once you get it up to 4th or 5th, it kind of sits there pretty nicely. So it's actually not that much of a hassle. It's just those little bits like you've seen where, yeah, you just lose all power for a second and you just got to wait for it to jump back down. Even if you tap in L1 to jump down the gears manually, it's probably going to head to 1st gear anyway. Little sections like that. I believe as well, since, I can't remember if it was a Mandra or Lake Coved, but I remember specifically with the Tayga, because I was driving it a lot at the time, doing the contest on Drowned Lands, and going up hills and slightly awkward sections. This and the Dolphin was another one. They'd sit in 1st gear really well and just absolutely motor their way up the hills. I reckon they kind of patched it and changed it a bit, and I've noticed it a lot more where the Tayga and the Dolphin, it's more trucks that are actually better in this game that kind of suffer from it, where going up an awkward hill and so on, the trucks have got enough power that they try and jump from 1st to 2nd, and then they haven't quite got enough power to maintain it in 2nd, so then they, you know, do that auto, like, dip the power, cut the power, put it back into 1st. Like, you don't really notice it with some of the medium strength trucks, because they never even have enough oomph to consider getting out of 1st in the first place, whereas, yeah, with trucks like this, you do kind of notice it a bit, and my gut feeling is they probably made it like that to try and make it worth considering more to get say an off-road gearbox and have the 3 low-range options. But especially since basically having it confirmed the low ranges are just different throttle limiters, I really don't see the point now in going for an off-road gearbox, because yeah, like that one basic low range gear I've got is like my low range gear. If I had 3 versions of it, if they're only rev limiters, or throttle limiters, whatever, yeah, there's no difference. I could basically put it in the basic low gear now, hold it at half throttle, and that's going to be roughly the equivalent of low-low. I'm not saying it's, you know, absolutely perfect, but you know what I mean. And yeah, I've also noticed, especially when I have an off-road gearbox and I have the 3 low-range options, I tend to find high-low feels exactly the same as 1st gear auto. And I appreciate with some trucks, if you haven't got the diffs always on, obviously you, like, yeah, having the low-range options, trucks like that, I still would say there is a potential gain, yeah, to off-road, or it's worth considering. But with trucks like this that have just got diffs always on, all-wheel drive always on, I really don't see the point anymore, because, yeah, between 1st gear auto and low range, I've got kind of most of the low range gears and bases covered, whereas, yeah, with the high range I just have a high gear which motors along very nicely through a lot of terrain. Once you've built your momentum and everything up, obviously on the really rough terrain, high tends to wheel spin no matter what you do really, but for most situations, going down this dirt road, if I had high range now and I already had built the speed up a bit, this thing would be motoring along just fine. To be fair though, you can see even now it's in 5th out of 5th gear, which I think is pretty solid for a stock truck and everything else. It's a dirt road. I've got a big trailer. I've got the drill, which, to be fair, as somebody said the other week, this is probably one of the heaviest single cargoes. I kind of don't really count it compared to all the concrete slabs and stuff, because they're kind of more common. This is a bit of a kind of custom cargo, but yeah, they're not wrong. Like, this probably is one of the heaviest cargoes, so the Tayga was doing pretty damn nicely down there, sticking in 5th. Actually, again, it's not for my lack of wanting the high range, it's just the balance has actually been a pretty solid substitute for now. So anyway, that's the next stage of the drilling site built. And yeah, that's my work done really with the Tayga. I could have obviously zipped up, well, at the minute I've got a saddle low on this thing, so I'd have to recover it to the garage. I'm not too keen on that. I wish you could just change saddle high and saddle low. I kind of get where they were coming from with it, but it's a little bit like, you know, when you go to buy a vehicle and it says, oh, you're not in Russia, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Now I've got to travel to Russia just to click on a bloody vehicle. It's like, I can guarantee now, if I'm worth 10 million quid, if I was in America with 10 million quid and I said I need a loaf, there will be some entrepreneurial spirit that will say, yep, I'll go to Russia for you, I'll get you a loaf. I just wanted to leave this bit in quickly because a few people spotted it yesterday. There's that wolf thing, like, further up the path. You can see as I move the camera it sort of disappears. When I flick my lights on and off, you can see its eyes glowing. And as I drive closer to it, it always disappears when you get a certain distance away. I'm not sure if they were originally planning on having animals in the game and they kind of took it out and that's just some weird leftover, or if it's supposed to be some weird ghost wolf that appears. It seems a bit of an odd thing for them to add if that was the aim. But I found quite a few, well, not quite a few, but I've seen 3 or 4 different ones. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I've only seen them in the Michigan maps. I've definitely seen one, or maybe more, yeah, 2 in fact at least, on Smithville. Anyway, back to this mission. You can see the Voron D sat there from yesterday. Yeah, I wanted to bring the Kolob, give it a go. Like I say, it's only got a stock engine and stuff at the minute, so it's not fully up to scratch, but it's pretty cool. I was still able to buy it, I believe, pretty much straight away. I think up to now I own every vehicle I can actually buy at the minute. A lot of them, obviously, regardless of what level you are, you have to go to the various map and actually find it before you have access to it. So, I don't know, just say the P16 for example. In fact, that is a good example because the P16 is what, if I had the choice, I would have liked to have towed this with. And again, to my earlier point, that's part of the reason I wanted to restart the game, was to, yeah, tow trailers like this with stuff like the P16, but I'm not even sure I can get, yeah, like I need to do this contract before I advance more, and especially that the P16 is on Drummond Island, and that's on Michigan, so not only am I going to have to do enough contracts on this map to go to Smithville, which I suppose it's let me now, I'm also going to have to do some contracts on Smithville to unlock Drummond, and then they're most likely to say, you know, go back and complete not a drill before you can do this mission, blah blah blah. So, like I said, long story short, by the time I end up buying everything back, I'm going to have to have delivered half of these trailers that I wanted to bring my old trucks. I mean, that's why, long story short, I want them to be able to reset the missions. I think a lot of us do by now, and I get, to a degree, I think one thing this game, I think it's fair to say, and I'm certainly not defending the developers in certain situations with this, I think they've been pretty slack on information, they've been pretty slow with the updates, but I think to a degree this game has been a slight quote-unquote victim of its own success. Like, I don't think they quite realised how... It is a bloody good game. I still want to play it now. Like, I have no issues with the game. I'm still enjoying the game. Even when I played Grand Theft Auto the other day, I was kind of like, yeah, I want to go back on SnowRunner, but it's just having new things to do, really. So now I've actually bit the bullet and restarted a gameplay. That's keeping me busy, but yeah, I think that's one thing they kind of underestimated, even as far as having multiple save slots and everything go. Like, I think they kind of thought, oh, you know, we'll sell the game, it'll hopefully do well, but people play it for a bit, get bored of it and move on to the next game kind of thing, whereas, yeah, quite rightly so, but it is that much of an enjoyable game that people have been like, oh, hang on a minute, I want you to add this and I need this, and I'd like, yeah, to restart missions. I mean, that's not it's not a bad problem to have when you're asking a game like, I want the option to essentially restart the whole thing, but just keep all the bits and bobs I've got. And yeah, when it's stock, I mean, it's going along here alright. There is no raised suspension for this or anything anyway, so as far as that goes, it's not much different. I am stuck with the special gearbox though, not the advanced special, and that's pretty much why I just cut that section out. I suppose one thing I would say with this Kolob over the flat nose or flat face Kolob or whatever it's called, because that other one has diffs always on, whereas this doesn't, its wheels, like, they're pretty good and grippy, all things considered, but because there is 8 wheels and it's like spread the weight out a lot, each wheel can kind of easily just pass it on to the next one, if that makes sense. So when you're trying to seriously dig in the ground without the diff locks, which I've just had to put on now, you can bleed a lot of power to, say, like the inside rear axle, and that thing will just light up spinning like mad, but it can't really plant itself in the ground and get a lot of grip because the axle behind it is so close and that's soaking up a lot of the effort. But because that's dug in the ground without diffs, the power tends to find the path of least resistance, so the wheels that are pushing in the most kind of don't really get a lot of the power, or at least it feeds the, you know, the easiest wheels first. So yeah, I mean, if I had the choice, it would be nice to swap it for the flat nose one, just because the diffs are permanently on, so even in just normal auto I could tickle on quite nicely. But yeah, this is the one section that I knew planning ahead and bringing the Kolob would be pretty handy on, even though I'm going pretty slow over here. Pulling this big giant trailer, it's pretty easy really. I did notice as well, what I forgot to mention, but the trailer I'm towing now, I didn't really realise this until I was doing this tonight, but that's the trailer that they've added for us, that's like that new saddle high trailer that I think we got when they added Mandra. And yeah, it's just got obviously that big box on the back, whatever the hell that is, but yeah, that's essentially the trailer that they've just removed that off and gave us that. So it'd be pretty cool if, again, once you buy the trailer, if you could like customise what goes on the back of it. Again, I don't really know what that is, a giant generator perhaps or something, but whatever it is, I mean, at least you can tow the trailer around in itself, so you still got that to mess around with. It does make it a little bit harder with this thing on the back, not just from the weight, but it's also got those like steps and platforms sticking out to the side which catch on trees. I only cut that bit out because when you get to the end of that mud, it doesn't matter what vehicle you're in, whether you got diffs on or not, it just seems everything goes slow as hell. It was like 2 minutes just to get up that little hill, but yeah, when I was stopped still, you could see the barriers I'd knocked down that were still under my trailer, so I was only like a truck length ahead. But again, it's not really this thing's fault, it's just, for some reason, when you go in either end of that Black River, yeah, it's just absolutely like, this is the top speed. You can see now, though, because I've not got the diffs on, it's bleeding at the minute quite a lot of power to that rear left. And obviously, particularly with these trucks, because they've got the choice between the Special and the Advanced Special, I would always say the Advanced Special is better, because you've still got the high range, you've got the 3 low range options, you've got an extra gear in auto. It's like, it just seems a better version of Special. I don't think there really is a lot of debate on that one. Obviously, with the off-road and high range or whatever, that's just what people prefer with the off-road and the high range, and like, I don't blame them. I've used the high range on stuff, and I still do every now and then. But yeah, as I'm playing through more and more, I've just kind of, the habits I've picked up and stuff, I just kind of can get by without an off-road, and the times that I have access to the high range, it's pretty cool. And it was quite nice bringing this truck. This was another one I didn't own until way later in the game. I'd probably already explored Zimnegorsk and all sorts, had the Tatrin and everything by the time I ever managed to buy this thing. Because of money, really, more than access to it. Obviously, I'm allowed to buy it pretty much straight away, so that was not the issue. You got to remember to go nice and wide, because as you can see, yeah, that platform, and it is already catching that tree. But this thing, fortunately, has got a nice lot of muscle, and it's just kind of shoves the tree out of the way. It's probably scooting the back end of the trailer around a bit. I mean, it's probably not got as much horsepower as the goddamn Professional, but can't really blame it for that. Not a lot can compete with the Loaf, except other Loafs. Again, I had to go yeah, a bit wide for them goddamn tree stumps. One day we'll strike them down. I mean, it's a bit easier to go around left-hand corners because you don't have that platform sticking out of one side, but it's still, driving down there, I mean, I admit I was a bit slack on taking corners widely and all sorts. I was just kind of in my own zone, enjoying myself, looking around, enjoying the views. But yeah, it's a bit of an awkward sod to get down this path, I'll give it that. I'm kind of curious now. I think it's too late to go back and find out, but can't cutting across that river again would have been kind of interesting. I think this thing would have got over there just fine though. That's what I do like about these bigger trucks in the game, and again, as I've said with the Navistar, it just feels correctly weighted, and yeah, they just feel a lot more fun and realistic to drive. I think that's the thing with like this game, that I'm not necessarily always drawn to like the most powerful OP truck in the game. As I said, the Navistar, I really like that, and I certainly don't think that's the strongest truck in the game. Yeah, there's just other trucks. I mean, even the Loaf's a goddamn horse of a vehicle, and for a Scout, it's just extremely well weighted, and it feels quite realistic in the way that it handles, the way that it plants itself in the ground and all sorts. Yeah, whereas a lot of the trucks in this game kind of suffer from just being too light and they don't really weigh anything. I mean, as a good example, it's a very good truck that I enjoy, but the Zix, what little weight it has got is like very concentrated at the front, so it kind of dances around on its front axle a bit. But yeah, there's just not enough oomph there, not enough weight. Like, it doesn't really smash trees down very well, and yeah, it kind of stops it from being a top contender in the game. But to be fair, in the Zix defence, it's, you know, it's nowhere near priced like one of the top trucks. So for a good little laugh, you want a little half an hour of just a mad little truck, then yeah, the Zix is pretty good. Pretty good suggestion. Just while I'm at it as well, I was glad to see the video went well yesterday. I say I'm not the only one that's had a few odd experiences going on. It was nice here as well. I believe somebody's been up that magnetic hill in the Isle of Man, the same one, and they said they went up there on a bicycle, and it was pretty odd. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like I say, I know it's true because I was there myself, but it's still, even in my own head now, it still feels pretty unbelievable, and like I don't really know what the explanation is for it. I'm still not convinced about just background Earth's magnetism, because it was far too strong. The car was picking up speed pretty damn quick, so who knows? Like I said, maybe there is a nice concentrated load of iron ore underneath, or something that's been spruced up for whatever reason, like super magnets. But yeah, it's pretty cool that someone else can kind of confirm it. There's people all over the world, really, people in America, Northern Ireland, all sorts, saying that they've got places like that that are similar, but it's the optical illusion one where it sort of looks like you're going uphill, but it is still downhill. But yeah, still, it's pretty cool. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the video. So slowly but surely, we got here. Yeah, I think it probably took longer to do that last section of the mission with this than it did the first two parts with the Tayga. But yeah, we got there. Couldn't quite seal this. Couldn't get it all in shot. It's just too big. That's what she said. But we had a plan. I parked on a hill. And we got there. So yeah, that's about it for today. That's another mission in the bag. I hope you've enjoyed. Just say thank you again to my Patreon members who are supporting me. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.